The CDC has identified a case of coronavirus in Washington State, the Wuhan. Are there words about a pandemic at this point?
No, we're not at all, and we have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
The virus. They're working hard. Looks like by April, you know, in theory, when it gets a little warmer, it miraculously goes away. I hope that's true.
Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low.
So far, we have lost nobody to coronavirus in the United States. Nobody. And it doesn't mean we won't.
Our country is prepared for any circumstance. We hope it's not going to be a major circumstance. It'll be a smaller circumstance, but whatever the circumstance is, we're prepared. This is the most aggressive and comprehensive effort to confront a foreign virus in modern history. Anyone can be a carrier for the virus and risk transmission to older Americans and those with underlying health conditions, and those who are most at risk. They have not done very well. So I'm glad to see that you're practicing social distancing. That looks very nice. And this afternoon, we're announcing new guidelines for every American to follow over the next 15 days. This is a pandemic. I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic. All you had to do is look at other countries. I view it as in a sense, a wartime president. I mean, that's what we're fighting.
What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. The American people are looking for answers, and they're looking for hope. America will again and soon be open for business, very soon. We cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself. We're not going to let the cure be worse than the problem. Ultimately, the goal is to ease the guidelines and open things up to very large sections of our country as we near the end of our historic battle with the invisible enemy. We will be extending our guidelines to April 30th to slow the spread. This could be a hell of a bad 2 weeks. This is going to be a very bad 2 and maybe even 3 weeks. This is going to be 3 weeks like we haven't seen before. We're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. Can never be happy when so many people are dying, but we're going to be very proud of the job we did to keep the death down to an absolute minimum, the least it could have happened. And soon we'll be over that curve, we'll be over that top, and we'll be headed in the right direction. I feel strongly about that. The President of the United States calls the shots. If we weren't here for the states, you would have had a problem in this country like you've never seen before. We were here to back them up.
Has any governor agreed that you have the authority to decide when their state
I haven't
opens
asked
back up?
anybody. Because
But
I
no
don't,
one has
you know why? Because I don't have to. My administration is issuing new federal guidelines that will allow governors to take a phased and deliberate approach to reopening their individual states. We would have had millions of deaths instead of, it looks like we'll be at about a 60,000 mark, which is 40,000 less than the lowest number thought of. It's a beautiful thing to see. As restrictions are lifted, we must maintain vigilance and continue practicing social distancing. I think what happens is it's going to go away. This is going to go away. And whether it comes back in a modified form in the fall, we'll be able to handle it. We'll be able to put out spurts. And we're very prepared to handle it. People were thinking in terms of 1.5 million lives lost to 2.2 without the mitigation. And hopefully we're going to come in below that 100,000 lives lost, which is a horrible number. Nevertheless, it's a horrible thing. Could have been stopped, should have been stopped at the source.
With the doctors saying that there might be a recurrence of coronavirus in the fall, can you just explain why is now the time to wind down that task force?
Well, because we can't keep our country closed for the next 5 years. You know, you could say there might be a recurrence, and there might be, and, you know, most doctors or some doctors say that it will happen, and it'll be a flame, and we're going to put the flame out. We've learned a lot. You know, we've learned a lot about the coronavirus. We've learned a lot about this hidden enemy. It's a dangerous enemy. It's a bad enemy. You see what it does, especially for people over a certain age and people that have an infirmity. If you have diabetes, if you have a bad heart, if you have a certain problem, it just, Myron, it just goes after you. It's vicious. That's right. And we're saying that people that are over 60, 65, but over 60, we're even saying, sort of stay back for a while. We recommend you staying back for a while. At the same time, with young children and children, we'd like to see the schools open early next season and on time. It's incredible how it's very unique how the children aren't affected, but people that have problems and older people can be very badly hurt, injured, or die from this problem.
Hold on, I just want to finish a follow-up. I understand you don't want to keep the country closed for 5 years, but don't you want your advisors to keep looking at this closely the way you have?
They are
for the
looking
last
at it
few
very
months?
closely. They are looking at it very closely. And I just said it today. I used the word for the first time, I think, in terms of what we're doing. I'm viewing our great citizens of this country, to a certain extent and to a large extent, as warriors. They're warriors. We can't keep our country closed. We have to open our country. Somebody said, oh, we could keep it for the next 18 months. We could keep it for the next 2 years. Doug Ducey's done an incredible job as the governor of Arizona. The people aren't going to accept it. They won't accept it, and they shouldn't accept it. We have a great country. We can't keep it closed. I mean, I've had doctors say, well, why don't we close it for a couple of years? This is the United States of America. I created, with a lot of other very talented people and the people of our country, the greatest economy in the history of the world, the greatest that we've ever had, the greatest employment numbers, the best numbers we've ever had, the best stock markets. I think we had 144 days of record stock markets. And then one day they said, we have to close our country. Well, now it's time to open it up. And you know what? The people of our country are warriors, and I'm looking at it. I'm not saying anything is perfect. And yes, will some people be affected? Yes. Will some people be affected badly? Yes. But we have to get our country open, and we have to get it open soon.